it over to the casters to take us into the next game that we're seeing. It is the third game of a series of Booyah Exiles versus the Akuma Glaives. Booyah is going to be on blue side, and Akuma is going to be on red side. Both of these teams are coming in after both games being super even, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Casters, over to you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Diatropa, as well as Rude Dude. You guys have been fantastic in running that interview as well. It was so exciting to hear. First time Jinx, and just really that mental when it comes to both games. You could just hear it in the voice how calm he was despite how crazy game 2 was. There was just this sense of confidence and the sense of we're just here to play good League of Legends, even if things might have gone off the wall for a little bit. Well, it is my pleasure to re-welcome Mitt back to the caster desk for the second or third time, tonight. Mitt, have you been able to catch a little bit of breath from game 2? Because that was an intense 40-minute long banger of a game.
Oh, I mean, dude, I'm always ready to cast, but it did take a little bit for me to kind of like wind down. Okay, we got a whole new series of individuals. We're about to hit the rift here in a second. 2 brand new teams we're bringing you. Of course, Booyah Exiles versus Akuma Glaives. Akuma being, you know, a pretty large organization, and Booyah having played with us in the past.
Yep, so we are starting the picks and bans for the pro draft, but I did get some fancy links into their game 1 and 2. So I'm going to throw out just a couple of things that I think are pretty spicy and to keep in mind when it comes to this game in particular. And that was in game number 1, Booyah Exiles were on blue side as they are in this game 3 as well. And we had Angry Top Laner picking up the set for himself versus Akuma Glaives with a Camille in that. It actually might have been jungle because they also have the Volibear as well. Love all the hydrate bombs. Thank you, Tombs, for reminding us to drink a little bit of water, especially after that game 2 is pretty nutty. And then in game 2, we actually had set being played by Akuma Glaives in combination with the Volibear as well. So we had some really strong top and junglers beating up the map. They played the Wukong as well. So Akuma Glaives have some spiciness in their drafts. But now in game 3, we get that Camille respect ban from Booyah Exiles, as well as a lot of junglers, the Graves and the Lee Sin, early game strong junglers taken off the table.
Yeah, and I mean, we're already seeing that Graves and Bard seem to be some very popular champions, not only in the first game, but also in this league overall, as they are going to get banned away. Volibear as well, a champion that we've seen tonight. So, some pretty common bans. We're starting to see maybe a little bit of a meta emerging here in the heavy XLNC League, perhaps?
Yeah, do we get our own meta? That's so spicy. I really want to find out across all the games tonight how many times was Volibear played or banned, because I do feel like he's going to be one of those priority picks, especially for strong junglers and top laners. So something that may seem a little bit off with the client, we'll give some information on that in a second, but the pro draft can continue with Ezreal so far being hovered by the side of Booyah Exiles.
Yeah, I really like Ezreal. He's a really safe, solid pick. He scales very well into the mid game, also very safely. And he slots very well into a lot of different compositions. The only thing he doesn't really do extremely well is team fight, but he can still do that to a decent extent. But he's great in poke comps. He's great in skirmish comps. He's great in counter dive compositions. There's plenty of uses for Ezreal. He's a very versatile champion. Slots very well into a lot of different compositions.
Yep, so set now being hovered by Glaive. They basically say, as is not really shocking, it is set. He's so good in top and jungle. He's a bit of a flex pick, though most often seen in the top side. Has recently been played by the pro scene in the jungle a little bit more. So with that flex pick, giving them some options when it comes to the later side of the draft. They grab themselves the Kai'Sa to counter this Ezreal. I don't mind that at all, especially the Acathian Rain has some really solid poke.
Yeah, I really like Kai'Sa. She's a really strong teamfight champion. She's kind of like a second Vayne almost, but in a lot of ways a more mobile Vayne and a higher burst damage Vayne. So I really like her. Building around a team fighting composition. Oh my gosh, my words are just not coming out today. But Rakan is going to be the pickup here for Booyah Exiles, Ezreal Rakan. So maybe some dive, some skirmishing. Rakan has a lot of good roam potential, gank ability there. What is going to be the third pickup? I'd love to see a jungler here, a skirmishing jungler perhaps.
Is it the Olaf? I haven't seen. I feel like there's so many heavy CC compositions, whether it's slows or actual stuns, that could have an Olaf play right into them. And but it seems like instead going to be a mid laner, which is a little bit odd. Not the usual pickup for a third pick, round 3, if you will, for either team. But the Victor is going to be locked in. I do like him overall. Great poke, good wave clear, and super strong late game group team fight damage with that ultimate, just raining lightning through everyone as Nautilus gets picked up, by Akuma for their support with the Kai'Sa. Really strong bot lane duo.
Yeah, that bot lane duo is really deadly. I mean, Nautilus can apply 2 stacks, 3 with his ultimate of the plasma for Kai'Sa that she doesn't have to worry about. Adds a lot of damage into her kit just kind of for free, just for being a CC bot like Nautilus is. But I do want to come back to that Victor pick. I mean, when you pick your mid in the first wave, you're saying that this champion is critical to the team fight or to the composition that we are planning right now. So I want to see how it shapes up for Exiles here. What is so critical about this Victor that the rest of their team composition has to kind of fall into place around it? So
and who do they have on their front line? Because they've popped themselves no tankiness, no beefiness, no one to absorb the spells, but more importantly, no one to absorb the Nautilus hook. I'm sorry, but yes, early game, even into the mid game, you're going to be scuffling in the jungle a little bit. But when the game gets later and you're fighting around inhibitor turrets, you're sitting in these lanes that are an easy target for Nautilus to throw out a hook, and that immediately sets up Set to then grab them and throw the showstopper into the entire enemy team, following up with Kai'Sa diving into your back line to kill your squishy members, like potentially that Victor. So what is it that you're going to grab for this top lane? Could it be an Ornn coming out? As Olaf and Kindred are super strong junglers, anti-CC from the Olaf, fast damage out of the Kindred, so they get taken off the table by Akuma.
You know, I'd like to see something like a Jarvan in the jungle and, like you said, an Ornn or some kind of tank in the top lane, because they do need to fill out that front line for the Victor. He's very vulnerable by himself. Excuse me. But if they are able to get a really nice CC chain lockdown with those tanks, the Victor and the Ezreal are more than enough damage to carry these team fights. So yes, good. I love seeing that. Sejuani, pick up the beef right now. Get a top lane who's also pretty beefy. But on the flip side, we're seeing an Echo looking to... They're drafting a team fight composition, but they're also drafting the Echo to kind of shore up their early to mid game so they don't get completely rolled over too early on before the Kai'Sa can get turned online. But the Echo needs a strong priority mid laner and a skirmishing mid laner, something like a Silas, a LeBlanc. Something that can get priority and can go and skirmish on Ahri would also be very nice here. Plenty of options here, but the Echo does need somebody that he can kind of tag team with to get priority around the map. So Aatrox and Sejuani are going to be the pickups for Exiles. Aatrox is a fighter, not super beefy frontliner, but Sejuani more than makes up for the tankiness that they're losing in the top lane with just the massive amount of CC and beef that she brings to the table.
Yeah, and I don't mind it at all. What you're talking about with Aatrox in the top lane, it's kind of a expected counter to the set is, you know, hey, bring someone that can duel him in that top lane. He's got a lot of heals, he's got some movement, and it's not going to be as detrimental because he's not building straight tank for Set to ult them into the enemy team. The only person is this Sejuani. Is it the Kled that's been officially locked in for Akuma Glaive? This is a Set jungle Echo mid Kled top potentially from the side of Akuma Glaive. Now, we are getting our players back into the lobby. We did have a little bit of a client reset that sometimes happen if you're sitting into a client for a bit too long, so there'll be another couple of seconds while players finish joining the game. But once they do, we'll get launched into the client picks and bans and see where it goes. But if I had to guess, it would be Kled top Set jungle Echo mid.
Yeah, I'm assuming that is going to be a Kled top Set jungle Echo mid. Like you said, they have the double flex of the Set and the Echo. Kind of threw me for a loop there for a second. I thought it was going to be an Echo jungle like we saw last game, but that is not the case. They are using the flexes very efficiently, giving the Kled a favorable matchup into the Aatrox. That Bear Trap on a rope does have healing reduction on it. Aatrox is known for his massive healing on his passive, and then once he builds his Death Dance on all of his abilities, of course. But that is going to be a nice matchup for the Kled in there, and he's going to be able to roam around with the Echo as well. Set and Echo, pretty strong mid-jungle duo that has a lot of skirmishing, a lot of CC that they can bring to the table. Victor Sejuani, also pretty strong, but the Victor takes a little bit to get going. So Sejuani's going to be looking to provide the Victor a relatively safe laning experience where he can get those item power spikes and then really dominate these team fights. Whereas Kai'Sa is going to be the crux of Akuma's team fight damage. Echo and Kled, if they get super fed, yes, they can do it. But barring that, most of the damage is going to be coming from this Kai'Sa.
Yep, so it's kind of a protect the ADC composition a little bit if you're the side of Akuma Glaives. So we should see here in just a moment us joining the actual client picks and bans, but until then, with the kind of protect the ADC from Akuma, it really means that you want to prioritize getting a strong early game, as you mentioned with this Echo, so that you can kind of roll more gradually into that mid game once the Kai'Sa gets those first couple of items. Where Booyah Exiles, because they see the composition that Akuma has, is we need to just shut them down as early as possible. They have a super early Rakan. All he needs is level 2, and he's got some really strong engage. But even his 6 is absolutely fantastic at charming up enemy opponents. He's got really snap engages. Then you pair that with the crowd control from Victor and the Sejuani, huge amounts of stuns coming through, and you have a very deadly kind of kill squad that can run around the map from Booyah Exiles. But they need to be able to be in a position with their jungler to be able to start that snowball, start that roaming, get the vision down so that they can actually pull off those plays, because it's too risky to dive when you can't see where that Echo is slipping down from the mid lane, or you have that giant CC coming in from Nautilus, even in the early game.
Yeah, both these teams are definitely looking to team fight, but the way that they're planning on executing that team fight and getting to those team fights are, two different game plans, like you said. But once they get into the team fight, assuming they're both on equal footing, these should be some really intense, really exciting fights with the set, dives into the backline, Aatrox flanking around the backside, Echo dashing in and out, Kled ulting in, Rakan trying to get the wombo combo off of the Sejuani, like you said, and the Victor just stacking on the CC and damage on top of that a Victor can bring once he gets those big item power spikes. It's going to be a really explosive team fight game. But I'm thinking that the early game might be a little bit slow relatively, but once we get everybody grouped up together, ready to fight, that's going to be absolutely explosive. I'm very excited for this one, Jake.
Yeah, and it's another game in which those level 6s are where things are going to get just turned up to level 11. You look at the Nautilus and you say, yes, his early game, the dredge line, fantastic. The passive root, that's good. But his ultimate is that press R, get knock up, potentially get killed, right? And you combine that with the set, press R, get knock up, get kill. Echo, press R. Okay, well, not exactly the same. But the idea is still the same when it comes to you being able to find people and engage. You look to Booyah Exiles, it's not quite as easy. Sejuani's ultimate is a skill shot. Rakan's is determined by his positioning. Victor's, he has to control and keep his character away from all of those press R get kills from Akuma Glaives. So even though you do have that strong CC and potential early game from Booyah Exiles, there's the opportunity for Akuma Glaives, if they pair their ultimates correctly, to be able to actually find a much stronger engage simply off of the ease of use of those champions and abilities.
Yeah, Corrin's initial positioning in these fights is going to be absolutely crucial. I mean, Ezreal has repositioning tools, Rakan has repositioning tools, Sejuani has repositioning tools, Aatrox has repositioning tools, Victor does not have repositioning tools, right? So if he's the one catching these dredge lines, if he's the one catching the depth charges or the set grabs or the Kled ultis, he's going to have a really hard time getting out unless he has cleanse and flash up. If those summoners are down, he's not getting out of that situation alive. So his initial positioning in these fights, in order to be effective, has to be very, very conservative. Wait for the big ultimate cooldowns to come through, and then he can come in and try to clean it up with his massive teamfight damage. But I mean, the double threat of the Ezreal and the Victor, that's two big teamfight threats versus the one big teamfight threat of Kai'Sa, does give a little bit more front-loaded damage over to the Exiles, but it's also very conditional upon execution and positioning to be able to actually be efficient with that damage. Ezreal is also very reliant on positioning and kiting to get that damage off, whereas Kai'Sa can kind of just dash in once the CC gets applied and she can just go whole hog. Whereas Ezreal and Victor need to be a little bit more cognizant of where they are in relation to the enemy team in order to be efficient about outputting their damage. So there's a little bit of a higher execution threshold here for the Exiles, but if they are able to perform at that level, then they can see more damage as a result.
Yep, exactly. We do have 2 minutes. This is the first time we've seen these two teams on the stream tonight, as this is their third game, both 1-1 in the series. So Booyah Exiles, they have got themselves angry top laner in that top lane. No shock, no surprise. Maybe he's even a little bit angry of having to play a game. Jay Crazy on the Sejuani in the jungle, Corin the Cat as that Victor in the mid lane, Siggy with the Ezreal on the ADC, Slash Div with the Rakan as support.
And on the red side of the rift, we have Akuma Glaive, Shaden pulling up the Kled on the top side, Triarch on that set, mid Monkey, Echo, Nutty Bars, and Rizzo bringing up the Kai'Sa Nautilus powerful duo bot lane. It's going to be really nice, Jake. I'm so excited for this game. This is a game 3, so both these teams have already proven that neither is just going to roll over the other one, and they have 2 pretty comparable compositions, so neither of them is going to be, just rolling over and letting it happen. Each one is going to be fighting for every ounce that they can get, and it's really a chance for both of these teams to show their individual skills. I don't give either team a huge edge in the draft. I feel like both of these drafts are pretty well balanced. Maybe a slight higher threshold of execution for Exiles, but that just gives them a greater opportunity to show what they're made of, and if they can really, prove that they deserve this win as opposed to the Akuma Glaives.
Right, and the spicy thing is, on top of all of this, there are only 7 weeks. Effectively, even though these are best of 3 games, they're best of 1 series. There is no round robin. You do not face this team again. You get 1 shot, 3 games to prove you are better than each of the individual other teams in the general season of Heavy League. So that means that every single game is absolutely critical. And already, because both teams have won 1 game, they know that they're up against opponents that, as you said, are not just going to roll over and let them have this victory. So it's really, really spicy to see where they decide to go. We do need to talk about these the junglers, and where they're going to spend a little bit of time and focusing on, because I expect them to spend most of it to mid to bot lane, which means the bot side Drakes could become a really strong priority. But we are going to take a very brief pause when it comes to the casting desk as we get loaded into the game. We'll be right back with game number 3 between Akuma Glaives and Booyah Exiles. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to XLNC Heavy League. This is Game 3. It's not the games that you've been watching so far tonight. If you were tuning in to Game 1 and 2, those are between FSU and FGCU Thunderbirds. This is Game 3 between Booyah Exiles and Akuma Glaives. One of these teams has to win the series, and both teams are going to fight to the tooth to be able to get it. As we are starting this Game 3, we have a 5-man invade from Akuma Glaives. They're going to catch out Siggy, but unfortunately being seen on this 5-man invade level 1 means that they're going to back away and at least rotate somewhere else. Mitt, welcome back to the casting desk.
Thank you very much, Jake. And I want everybody at home who is on a competitive team or planning to be on a competitive team, take a look at Booyah Exile's positioning there on the Rift for their 5-point formation. A lot of AD carries like to sit inside the tri-bush when it comes to these amateur leagues. That is not where you want to sit. If he was standing there, Mr. Rizzo would have gotten up on top of him, hit him with the dredge line, and he would have had nowhere to run. He was Siggy, of course, very wise to stand outside of the tri-bush, able to see the invade coming and walk away before anything bad happens. Good stuff from Siggy. Good heads up. Good practice. Everybody at home, take notes. Remember that if you're an AD carry, don't stand on the tri-bush, stand outside of it.
Yep, I like it, and it basically just says, hey, I'm going to respect the fact that they could do some spicy invade. There is a very, very cheesy way that if you are on that red side, you can actually hug the wall and basically be all but invisible until the very last second when you come around the corner. So it's pretty darn spicy if you are able to pull it off. But Akuma Glaives, they're a little bit more just comfortable wandering on in, get seen by the Ezreal, and the game starts off a little bit more basic, except for Booyah Exiles. They got a really deep ward in, really deep past that raptor bush, or raptors on the top side of the map. So that's going to be some pretty good vision to see where Triarch goes on this set. Speaking of, we didn't talk too much about where the junglers are going to focus.
Oh, yes. I'm thinking that the Set and Echo duo is really strong, so they're going to be able to roam out, maybe top side or bot side. While Victor's going to be relegated to more of a farming position, which is going to leave the Sejuani kind of either ganking top or trying to blunt the pressure bot side. So unfortunately, early on, the Sejuani's not going to have a whole lot of usefulness as opposed to an Echo Set. Just because their 2v2 is relatively weaker. So she might be relegated to just farming for a little bit while they try to absorb the pressure of the roam. Because Echo is going to be able to push roam quite effectively against the Victor until Victor is able to evolve his laser beam to do the two things. What was it? Which evolution of the Hextech Protocore, so that he's able to get the death ray that does the double proc. I wish there was like a name for it. Upgraded laser. But
upgraded laser. Well, I call it the pew pew. You know, because he not only gets one laser pew, but he gets an extra pew as well. So. But yeah, so it's going to take a little bit of time to stack up for Booyah Exiles in that mid, and as you're saying, the jungle as well, you know, Sejuani going to be a little bit slower in that early game, but I like your brief comment you were just mentioning about softening the blow in the bottom lane, where it's really about kind of absorbing pressure. Hold on, Shaden might be going down the top lane. It's a flash, but Angry top lane can flash in response. He trying to back away before the shotgun comes through, and Shaden actually is able to get that remount onto that Scarl, and Angry top laner knows they're in a little bit of a tight spot, so they back away. However, if they stick around too long, Triarch's going to come in on the set. Kled gonna dive underneath that turret. Here comes Triarch walking on forward, but I think that this is gonna go down. Set steals away, but it's a trade of kills. Angry top laner keeps Kled under the turret for long enough to go 1-for-1.
So one really unfortunate thing there, I'm not sure if Angry top laner's passive came up on that Aatrox or not, but if he had just gone for an auto and his passive was up, he would have regenerated, I think, enough HP to be able to survive the auto from the Kled and then tag him up, you know what I mean? But he does not do that. Does end up falling to Triarch, who's in the right place at the right time.
Ooh, talk about right place at the right time. Jay Crazy kicking out too with that Winter's Flail. They've got themselves locking up Nutty Bar, getting a good bit of damage as well. Their Rakan is here forcing the flash of the Kai'Sa over the wall. Rizzo gonna have to flash as well. And Jay Crazy with a perfectly timed hanging out in that tri-brush, waiting for Akuma Glaives to overstep to ward.
Yeah, that's a beautiful play from Jay Crazy. I mean, he's in the right place. He knows that Triarch has already extended resources topside, so he's going to be able to get something down here. And meanwhile, Nutty and Rizzo are kind of feeling the pressure of like, okay, Jay Crazy didn't respond to that topside gank, so he's got to be bot side. So we should probably ward up our tri-bush to make sure. But Jay Crazy, one step ahead in the mind games, ready and waiting for them. It gets 2 flashes burned. And I want to compliment Slash Div on the Rakan for those moves. Really, really smooth dash into Grand Entrance. Really nice stuff from him. Able to get 2 flashes there. and just, trade out the pressure on the other side of the map. So overall, the advantage is going to go over to the side of Exiles, even though they're down a little bit of gold right now. The two summoners missing in the bot lane are pretty huge, and the fact that they traded kills on the top side is also.
Wait, Sejuani's back in the bottom lane. They've got some more poke down onto Rizzo, but here comes Triarch trying to regank, and Jay Crazy might have stuck around a bit too long. The smite from Seth, they're trying to take down Siggy, because here's Mid Monkey as well. Picks that one up, and while the two flashes may have been burned for the bottom lane of Akuma Glaives, it's them that pick up the 2 kills in response.
Yeah, the extra movement speed there from the Z-Drive Resonance, the passive there for the Echo, able to let him, along with his flash, get out of turret range and survive that dive. Good stuff. Just, classic 4-man gank bot side. Jay Crazy going a little bit too deep, trying to get his E off onto Nautilus. Pays for it with his life. And the Dragon's going to go over to the side of Akuma Glaives, and Akuma Glaives are looking pretty good right now, even though they're down. They were down those 2 flashes, able to pick up the kills with the 4-man devotion of resources. Like we say, the jungle mid duo, Triarch and Mid Monkey, making something happen in that bot side, using that prio early on while Victor has to farm, and the game plan is working beautifully right now for the Glaives.
Yeah, exactly right. The fact that Booyah Exiles, they burned the flash from both bottom laners and the heal from Nutty Bars as well. You say, hey, they have absolute control over this bottom side. This is fantastic, but Jay Crazy sticks around too long. And this is where, especially when you start to get a tiny bit desperate in this game 3, when everything counts, you say, hey, maybe I can make this miracle play stick around. They're not expecting me, but unfortunately, you're sitting on a ward. And that means Nautilus gets that free dredge line. Woo, Facebreaker just a bit short to grab Corn the Cat and pull him forward, which means Set's able to kind of just walk away. But unfortunately, while Booyah Exiles had a really good start with that bottom lane burning the summoner spells, they're now at a deficit as they're trying to catch back up from losing those 2.
Triarch looking to set up another top side gank right now, but good heads up here from Corn the Cat to evolve immediately the Death Ray, so that he's able to get the wave clear going, so he doesn't get push roam too hard on. But Mid Monkey, with that kill in his pocket, picking up the Hextech Revolver. He has enough AP right now to keep Corn pushed. So they're going to set up a 3-man dive top side, and it's going to be pretty brutal.
Charge top lane, but that's immediately World Breaker from Angry top laner. Everyone's coming in. Wow, Akuma Glaives, they might be angry at Booyah Exile's top laner because they really just smash him down before he can get to the turret with 3 immediate diving him.
So these are the kind of plays that top tier teams make, okay? We see in the amateur leagues, we see a lot of, scrappy stuff, opportunistic plays, but this is what separates the cream of the crop from people that are the amateurs of the amateurs, right? The people still learning what they're doing. That is a super coordinated play, called out. Triarch knew exactly what he wanted to do. He's sitting in the tribush, he's saying, hey, Mid Monkey, get mid prio right now, and we're gonna dive top. And just the execution super quickly, Hex Flash into ult.
Well, they're trying to catch Nutty Bars in the bottom lane. They've got a bunch of CC. They know those flashes are down, so they can take down that Kaisa. They're going to let the Nautilus slip underneath his turret and say, we're not going to dive that hard. But good punish from Jay Crazy in the bottom lane, knowing those flashes were down. It was just such a massive investment to wait that long for Akuma to push out in this bottom side. Oh, wait, Rakan's going to go back in again. He's found the charm onto Rizzo with a true shot barrage from Siggy. Picking up the Nautilus does mean 2 kills go back the way of Booyah Exiles.
Yeah, both these teams showing a lot of coordination right now. Really good stuff between the top side dive. No top side play goes unanswered here. So Angry top lane are forced to play weak side while Booyah Exiles are playing a strong bot side, getting their Ezreal ahead. He's already got 2 kills up. Oh, the CS differential is negligible, but the summoner spell advantages that they're getting in that bot lane are starting to show that the Exiles are prioritizing this bot lane presence more than anything else. But 1k gold lead, not a huge lead, but still pretty substantial here in the top side.
Yep, it's starting to grow a little bit. However, Angry top lane is actually shoving Jaden backwards. He's got a couple more of those sweet spots to throw out, knocking Kled off of his mount. Rizzo going hunting, C/div, and immediately starts to back away. He does have that set around the corner as they grab themselves the Scuttle Crabs to now have vision control around the Drake. Whoa! Look at Siggy's health disappear. A Cathian Rain from Kaisa, shutting him down as Rift Herald. No, it's actually Hex Flash from the set, trying to get the Face Breaker to drag the Rakan in. Top lane, once again, still that focus from Angie top laner. Drops that Infernal Chains, forces the flash out of Jaden. The Sejuani is here. There's the ultimate. Great catch, and Jay Crazy TP with these lane ganks have been crazy all game long. TP into the bottom side, the Victor coming in, seeing what he can do to start up a fight, but keep in mind it could be a 4v3. Might instead just be for defensiveness to make sure that they can't grab the turret or go for a dive.
Yeah, Corrin's gonna have to be very careful about how he moves through this jungle. You know, I think that's really ambitious of Corrin to take the path that he did back into mid lane, because if Triarch and Mid Monkey really wanted to, they could have just hid behind that red buff wall corner and jumped him as soon as he walked there. So a little bit of a risky pathing there without having the vision. Oh, Hex Flash is gonna be away. He's just gonna take Raptors. Okay, Triarch looking for cheeky play, doesn't quite find it, but yeah, Corrin takes a little bit of a risk. Doesn't get punished for it this time, but against a team that was perhaps looking for that kind of play, he might have been punished there.
Yeah, and I don't mind at all Booyah Exile's the Corrin burning that TP into the bottom lane just to kind of save the turret and stabilize the game a little bit, because with 4 members down there, things could have started to get a little bit out of hand. So I don't mind that as much, and it's kind of nice to see teams, as we were talking about in the first 2 games, there was no absorption of pressure whatsoever. It was all kill, 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 kill. I kill you or you kill me. One of us is going down, or probably both. This game, you can see a little bit of that higher tier, both teams being able to kind of absorb that pressure and play into the enemy team a little bit more, making those even uses of those teleports for defensive play. Ooh, wait, was that predicted by the Aatrox? Angry top laner using the Q, the Darkened Blade, to sidestep Shaden's shotgun? That's madness!
That's Giga Brain, dude. He's an absolute unit right up here. I mean, this top lane duel is looking it's looking pretty nice. You know, even though Angry top laner has been ganked several times already, he's kept his composure. He's still making stuff happen in this top lane. But, you know, like you said, in the first match that we casted tonight, we saw a lot of aggression, and it was just reckless, wanton aggression. Just what can men do in the face of such reckless hate, you know? But here in this game, we're seeing a more calculated, measured, but still aggression, right? But it is more calculated. So we still have 8 deaths here in the first 12 minutes, but we can see that, you know, each death has been answered some way. Some of the pressure has been absorbed on opposite sides of the map. And it's more of like, it feels more like a fencing duel than an all-out slug match that was our first set of the evening.
Yeah, exactly. This has been much more tempered, if you will. Mid Monkey forcing Slash to kind of back away. I think that says to Booyah Exiles, we're just going to let this Drake go. True Shot Barrage from Ezreal might actually slice through, and time is getting close! Oh, butt clencher right there. I was hopeful.
That's as close as it gets, you know, without actually getting it. That's about as close as it gets. Good try from Sigi, but unfortunately at the end of the day, the smite does secure the Infernal Drake over to the side of Akuma Glaives. And you know what? I wanna point something out here that I just now noticed, and I'm not really sure how this happened. Oh, a little bit of a trade in the mid lane, but anyways, Booyah Exiles, their mid lane tower has only 1 plate left, and Mid Monkey has not spent very much time mid, despite his name would have you think. So I'm just kind of like wondering, how exactly did that happen? Did they get a really good mid lane push off, or maybe they dropped the Herald down mid? I think
that's the Herald. Yeah, the Herald drop, especially if they did it when the tower was still at full health, that'll drop it to about 3 plates, and then you just need the Echo to pop that last one and you drop it down. So it was most likely that they dropped the Herald, because I know that the set had it earlier when he was Hex flashed over the wall looking for the Rakan.
Yeah, gotta be what it was.
Probably just poured some gold into the Echo's pocket.
Yeah, a little bit of off-screen Herald action there in the mid lane, getting a quick couple plates over for the Echo. And it looks like they wanted to do something here bot side, but the presence of Jay Crazy is going to put a stop to that real quick. And it looks like we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program. Does Mid Monkey get this mid tower?
I think he does.
He does.
Yeah,
That's
he's
actually huge.
He's been able to punish Corrin's recalls very nicely. Every single time that Corrin tries to back, because again, this is a Victor, he has to play around that Hex core. He's pretty limited on gold because he needs to scale up as fast as possible. That means that his backs are fairly predictable because he's not going to be shoving the minions to the turret necessarily. He just needs to get enough gold to recall buy his items to get back out to lane. But that means the Mid Monkey, between both himself and having that Rift Herald earlier, sneak takes away this first turret with the side of Akuma Glaives, putting some extra gold in their pocket. They're now up about 2,000 gold with double drakes as well. We'll need to see if they can actually use that gold and the kind of, I wouldn't say map pressure because it's not really in that sort of way. It's more like an item. You can see they're completing most of their items a little bit faster than Booyah Exile's is. Rakan finding a taunt, though, forces Mid-Monkey to ult and escape. So nice catch out there from Booyah Exiles.
So, I like how you said that Echo is punishing these recalls from Corrin, right? But even though he is punishing these recalls and getting advantages for himself, Corrin is still scaling on. Oh, we got some fighting.
Oh, press 6, get the knockups. Oh, Dredgeline just misses. How did that miss? Rizzo's got to be dropping some tears after that one. But in the bot lane, though, Sejuani ult is going to miss as Nutty Bar scumps ahead and flashes off to the side, avoiding the True Shot Barrage with the ultimate as well. The Killer Instinct, I don't think will save her because Sivana has found the stuns, gets the kill in the bot lane. Siggy's got some poke, TP in from the Kled, trying to push them off the turret and maybe have saved the ADC, but was a little bit late. Rift Herald goes the way of Akuma Glaives, though, as they were able to pick that up in the meantime.
Yeah, interesting decision from Nutty Bars to use the Killer Instinct to reposition next to the Sejuani when Ezreal had 4 stacks of Plasma on him and was about like 200 HP, so one more auto probably would have done him in if she chose to take the Killer Instinct directly onto the Ezreal instead and perhaps kite around a bit, buy time for Shading to get there and save her. But unfortunately that is not the case, and she does fall to the gank here from Jay Crazy. But let's go back to the story of Echo and Victor, right? So Echo was dominant in this early game, got a lot of pushing up, is able to get the early first tower, but Victor is still scaling. He has 0 deaths and a healthy CS advantage, right? So the age of Echo is starting to come to a close, and the age of Victor is starting to blossom. You know, the first petals of Victor's lovely bloom is starting to open up and be exposed. Because the later this game goes, and the more even, right? It looks even on paper for the Victor. The more ahead the Victor actually is, because the onus is on Echo to be to get a tangible large lead for himself early on, because his usefulness dwindles as the game goes on, whereas Victor's just increases.
Right, exactly. And the only thing you could argue is maybe he could catch the Ezreal when he's sitting at half health and just burst the ADC down, take Siggy out of the equation very quickly in a bigger fight, which we're probably going to get here as both teams are grouping around this next Drake. The Kled does not have TP, and he's a little bit late to the party at the moment, but it seems like he'll have time to be able to roam up. Wanted to note quickly, as I'm looking at those drafts from game 1 and 2, but we're not going to have a chance because Rizzo flashes forward to drop the ultimate Angry top laner, charging in for the Kled as well. They've been able to Dredgeline to Aatrox, but that is not necessarily the one they want. Sejuani coming in, trying to be that front line. Take Victor's ultimate is on everyone. Aatrox with the World Ender. It's slicing everyone up. Here comes the Kai'Sa as well. I don't think that Killer Instinct will save them. Has to be immediately jumping away. Angry top laner down to half health, doesn't care. And the combination of the Chaos Storm with the World Ender from the Aatrox on top of the Sejuani's Glacial Prison, locking all the members of Akuma Glaives and sending them to the fountain.
Well, if the flower was just now blooming for Victor before, it is now in full season because he is doing so much damage in these team fights. Like we said earlier, the Victor has a lot of potential, the Ezreal has a lot of damage potential, and we just saw that potential realized in this last team fight. So much damage going on, and what an explosive start to that fight. Shade and ulting in, thinking that he has the advantage, and it just gets turned around in his head so quickly. Just the massive amount of damage coming out of Siggy and Corrin, something that they really have to watch out for. And if you're Victor, you've got to be feeling really, really good right now. He's got 200 CS at 18 minutes. That's insane. Oh my god. He's doing more than 10 CS a minute. This man's a legend right now. I'm in awe of what he's doing on the Rift.
Well, and the thing I wanted to note before we got into that team fight was I'm going to just go through the mid laners from game 1 and 2. Let's see here. Zoe as well as Azillion. Okay. Game 2, Orianna and Cassiopeia or Syndra. Wait, I think it was Cassiopeia bot with the Wukong, which is pretty spicy. But it was Orianna and Syndra. And now in this game 3, it's the Echo and Victor, excuse me. Which means that these players have been playing different mid laners every single game. So not only are you having games in which, hey, they're doing well on these other champions, but now in game 3, they're still performing well, especially this Victor, and that is just absolutely massive.
Yeah, and it's not to say that Mid-Monkey didn't play a good early game. He really did, you know, he had great roams, great push roams, he gets the first tower early on, but it just wasn't enough, you know what I mean? There needed to be it needed to be a dominant performance. It couldn't just be a good performance.
Good performance, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a good performance. But Corrin is showing that good is not good enough if you're going to be fighting him on the Rift right now. You need to bring perfection.
Ooh, nice synchronized knockups there. I don't think they intended that, but it still looked pretty, you know. Not good enough for Olympics, but definitely nice to point out as Rift Heralds dropped in the top lane. The turret already taken down, so that is all exterior turrets gone. Akuma Glaive's picking those up. Fortunately, Jay Crazy a little bit slow on that ultimate. Couldn't quite catch out this Echo, who's a highly mobile champion. Very difficult to catch.
You know, as someone who used to play a good bit of Sejuani, never super good at it. I've seen that situation so many times, being on the receiving end of that, just barely missing your Glacial Prison. It just feels so bad every single time, and it happens. You know, you're just gonna have to wait about a minute. You'll get another chance at that. You know, shake that one off, Jay Crazy. It happens to the best of us. But regardless, even though the Exiles are down right now about 2K, I'm gonna make a hot take here, hot prediction that is gonna switch around in about the next 5 minutes, in this next team fight. As soon as Corrin is able to get a couple kills on himself, I think it's gonna be really dirty. But both these mid laners are farming relatively well, but Corrin is just, you know, his farm is astronomical right now. I think he's above perfect right now. He's doing really good.
Yeah, it's good. But we want to see Booyah Exiles extend this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not good enough to simply be really good on farm and have a bunch of items. You also have to execute the actual team fights. And we pointed out in that draft, they do have this slightly more complex champions to play. Think about the Nautilus. He just drops his ult and he finds a knockup. Well, Sejuani has to land that ultimate as a skill shot, which couldn't catch out this Echo. Well, you do that again, but instead of the Echo, you're missing the Kaisa or you're missing the Kled. Now it's much more critical who you miss and a lot harder for you to execute in those fights. So I want to see Booyah Exiles are doing well, they're doing very good, they're holding a nice game, even though they have 0 turrets to the 3 that Akuma Glaives. It is standing gold, and eventually you can send someone like the Aatrox into the top lane to pick up that first tier turret, but I want to see them extend the gold lead once they actually attain it, because they're still down by 1,500 gold.
Yeah, I agree with you. The threshold of execution is definitely, or the onus of execution, I should say, is definitely on the Exiles. I mean, it is up to Corrin. Corrin, as strong as he is right now with his 0 deaths, with his really nice farm lead, and he's coming into Lichbane right now, so he's got a lot of power, right? But like we were saying earlier, and you brought up once again, if he mispositions at the beginning of this fight, if he gets engaged on, if he missteps just a little bit, it can spell absolute doom for him. But if he keeps playing a really solid, nice game, he's going to have a good time here, but this is a little bit risky right here.
Yep, collecting both around the Drake, both teams, and this last time, Booyah Exiles were able to find a bit of success by again pinching in this small area between the river and their bottom side jungle. Seems like they're once again saying, hey, we found success here before, let's try to do it again. But will Akuma Glaives actually take the bait and fight them? Echo is slipping around that bottom side looking for the flank, maybe trying to jump on this Ezra if he mispositions, as he is around the bottom side of that Drake pit. Heavily grouped from Booyah Exiles, all in one tight-knit area, and that means that if the Nautilus ult tears through them, everyone could get knocked up and set up for a really nice early ultimate. Echo throwing out that parallel convergence, doesn't really get anything from it. We're going to jump onto Kled. They might be able to actually take him down. Nice dredge line from the Nautilus, catching out of Shyvana, throws out that ultimate, just a couple knockups, but Kled is running away, and that means Akuma Glaives, in the meantime, sneak away the Drake. They burn the flash out of the Nautilus, and just a really good Drake grab from Akuma Glaives and getting out everyone alive.
Yeah, as far as picks go, Kled is one of the, you know, not most ideal champions to get a pick on, as he's going to just get the dismount. Basically Zhonya's Hourglass for a hot second there, be able to just run away. So
have a more of a cleanse.
Yeah, he does have to burn his flash in the meantime, but
Whoa, wait, dredge line taking out the Victor. Everyone's trying to jump on him. Nice face breaker from the set. Tri-Arc getting some damage down. We'll see if they can continue the chase as Shayaden coming back from that fountain. Another dredge line from the Nautilus lands, but it's onto the Rare-Con. The True Shot Barrage from Ezra going through everyone. Chaos Storm is down, taking out Mid-Monkey. He has to ult to get out alive, as the chase will end up ending. And again, nicely done for Booyah Exiles to put everyone into a small passage and drop the Chaos Storm on top of him.
Yeah, very good stuff from Corrin. He does have to burn his flashlights for one that are available, but Baron is going to get started up immediately, and this is a little bit ambitious here for the Exiles.
Yeah, Echo with the parallel convergence to kind of, check in on that brush, make sure no one was sneaking in there. And Booyah Exile still inside the pit. They know that they are on top of a ward, or at least should know they're on top of the ward. Corrin trying to chase the Echo off. The Baron is down under 3,000 health. This could be incredibly risky. Here comes Mid Monkey jumping forward, flashing in, looking for Siggy. Aatrox is started the world, Ender Triarch's in the middle of the fight. Nice little dunk from Corrin to take out that Echo, but the killer instinct from Nutty Bars is enough. And Set steals the Baron. This is the third major objective we've seen stolen tonight. Triarch will grab it for Akuma Glaive. Rakan finding the knockup means that the Kaisa is going to go down because Corrin is still pumping out the damage, but his mana is low. The recall is canceled. Angry top laner finds the sweet spot with that Darkened Blade, sending Set back to the fountain, but with another death to his name.
Yeah, a very, very early smite from Jay Crazy. He's feeling the pressure, feeling the nerves, and unfortunately he loses the smite fight. Triarch able to pick up that Baron there. Subsequent team fight, though, goes the way of Booyah. They do get a lot of kills there. They sacrifice a good bit, though. But Corrin picking up 3 kills for himself, looking to be the standout member on Booyah right now with a pretty nice CS, 3 kills to his name. 400 gold shutdown. He's very, very strong right now. The amount of damage that he's pumping out, you saw it yourself. It's just absolutely massive. But with the Baron going over to Akuma right now, they are going to have agency on this map. They're going to be able to dictate what's going to happen, and it's up to the Booyah Exiles to answer. So, Akuma, how do they set this up? I would love to see a 4-1. The Echo is a very slippery champion. Hard to get, but he does not have the Baron on him. That is super unfortunate. Who does have Baron? Let's see. It is
Kled and Nautilus. Yeah.
So they could 4-1 with a Kled on the side lane. Kled can get out with an ultimate out if he needs to. But he's not going to pair very nicely into the Aatrox. But 2v1 on the Aatrox right
catch
now.
People. Well, I wanted to mention Angry top laner has been sneaking in as a carry. He is going to go down. Good catch there from Akuma Glaives, kind of sneaking into those brushes where he wasn't really expecting, and maybe getting a little bit greedy, pushing forward without true vision down to know where the enemy team was. But previous to that death, he had himself the Death Stance and that Black Cleaver, which is really nice to start stacking up some hefty damage. But it puts the tank solely on Jay Crazy on the Sejuani. So if she's not there for a fight, you have no frontliner to protect the rest of your team.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate that he was pushed so far forward, especially against the Baron push that you know is coming eventually. When you're pushing that far out, you're not really going to be pressuring the tower. That's not viable. So all you're really doing when you're pushing that wave is handing the enemy CS. So unfortunately, not only does he hand the enemy CS, but he also ends up losing his life for it. So a little bit of a misplay there from Angry top laner, who has otherwise been playing a pretty decent game. Just a little bit there. You know, nobody can be perfect 24/7, but just a little bit of something to watch out for in the future. But in the meantime, they're seeming to hold out the Baron relatively well, all things considered. Even though they lost a man on an early pick, the pressure didn't come through. They didn't lose any towers as of yet. So they actually, stalling out this Baron pretty well.
Yeah, I would say with Akuma Glaive spending so much time at the top lane, it really opens up this bottom side for Booyah Exiles to have gotten the vision. Now, unfortunately, Rizzo's going to walk right on in and clear up a whole bunch of that with his, I'm trying to do an Oracle Lens. There we go. But not only does he have the Oracle Lens, but you also have it on the Echo and the Set. So you can see how much from Akuma Glaives they're focusing on denying the vision from Booyah Exiles. However, Booyah Exiles is just going to walk right on in saying, hey, we really want this Drake. We'd like to keep you from getting Soul, especially when it's a Mountain Soul on top of it. So they are going to have to fight for this Echo currently in that bottom side. But Mid Monkey's pretty fast. Sejuani ultimate trying to lock up, but it's only on the Nautilus, and he drops that Gargoyle Stone Plate, so he's fairly tanky. Angry top laner into the middle of all of them, but the Rakan already taken down. His engager's just too late. The Ezreal's caught out. The damage dealers of Booyah Exiles are falling. It's going to be up to the Aatrox to do what he can, but he's already gone down as well. Mid Monkey ulting backwards. Jade Crazy on the run. Shaden trying to get the continued chase down. Corrin's right next to that Dragon Pit. Shaden finding the kill onto the Sejuani. Needs now Corrin, the only member left up, might try to steal away this Drake, but Mid Monkey chasing Corrin. I think he might get bursted down. Goals golden. He's on top of that E though. Nice little dash to avoid getting stunned up, and that is the Mountain Soul going the way of Akuma Glaives.
So a little bit unlucky there for Mid Monkey. He accidentally auto-attacks the ward instead of Corrin, or otherwise I believe Corrin would be very, very dead right now. So, you know, his perfect KDA is in jeopardy and was spared just by a little bit of a misclick. But other than that, I mean, that fight was just so disjointed. You see Jay Crazy just dashing forward, getting super antsy, throwing the ult out. Sigi's nowhere to be found. Korin's way too far back. I mean, he does end up getting a decent Chaos Storm off, but it works better when the damage is all front-loaded as opposed to kind of staggered and people are able to move out of things. So I would like to see Jay Crazy play a little closer to his carries, especially Korin and Sigi. Just play closer, allow them to be close enough to do the damage. Sure, you don't get as much pressure on the actual objective of the dragon, but if you just go out and int, you lose all pressure because you're dead, right? So you need to kind of start walking the tightrope a little more. Don't get so antsy. Don't feel like you have to make a huge play right off the bat, and let your carries, you know, get in position to be able to do the damage. So just rein it a little bit, Jay Crazy, and
but he's Jay Crazy. He's not
I know, but a name like Jay Crazy.
He's not Jay Calm. He's not Jay, you know, Temper, Jay Walk. He's Jay Crazy.
Jay
but
Crazy.
I agree.
Jay, wait for my carries. Someone's going to have to change his name to here in a second.
Well, a part of it as well was that while they were having a pretty solid initial engagement, how many summer spells landed onto Rizzo? Well, they're going to actually catch out Triarch the set, but again, he's super tanky. That's what he's here for. Absorb that damage. One ultimate down. Jay Crazy's prison taken out of the fight the next time that initiates around this Baron. Up in 4 seconds, Akuma Glaive's currently maintaining control with vision around it, and Slashdiv gonna have to be very, very safe on this recon, trying to slip in and clear up some of the vision.
You know, Triarch sprinkling a little bit of BM there, doing a couple crunches there, and it almost dies for it, actually.
Hey, it's never a bad time to throw in a workout. I'm just saying, you know, I try to do 10 push-ups a day, and, you know, sometimes you just gotta drop and do them.
You just gotta do them. Like right now, here I go. No, I'm kidding.
But maybe not on cast.
But anyways, in the bot lane here, we've got a lot of pressure going here from Mid-Monkey, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, Rakan's caught out. Set uses the ultimate as well. Slash is actually surviving way longer than maybe expected. He's flashing, but he's got nowhere to dash to. Tries to jump to Victor, but the Dredgeland will hook Korin. Killer Instinct from Nutty Bars as well. They're trying to chase the Victor down, but he's got the speed boost. He's been able to escape, only losing Rakan. Now Mid-Monkey hopping and trying to take down the Sejuani. You've dropped the tank. The rest of the team should fall because they have no one else to play that front line. Angry top laner trying to knock people back with the ultimate, with that Q, throwing out those Darkened Blades, but unfortunately they just continue to lose in all of these skirmishes, and Akuma Glaive taking down the jungler says, let's go for Baron.
Yeah, Glaive is looking really good right now. They're about 7k up. Kaisa, Nutty Bars, looking really deadly. 7-3, finishing the Nashers, the Quinsus, the Manamune. That is so much damage. This Baron is absolutely going to shred. There's no chance in the world. And I mean, this is all kind of like... The game was relatively close up until that Baron steal. After that point, it got really dicey. They didn't get a whole lot done with that first Baron, but they were able to kind of like reset, compose themselves, and then move out from there. And then once that Dragon Soul goes over, just because of that engage, they really starts to blow this game open. The amount of kills that landed on Nutty Bars. He's just such a huge issue right now. And he even goes home and picks up the Death Dance, which is going to make him even harder to kill. You know, it's just... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I give credit to Executioner's Calling being picked up by this Kaisa as well. Cut through that healing, both from the Aatrox as well as the Sejuani, is just tanky enough that you say, hey, I don't want any healing to come through. The redemption on the Rakan going to be cut as well. So I like the fact that they're kind of playing even greater advantages and not willing to just deal with the pure damage. You're actually trying to counter build. Korin, though, going to have the Rakan coming on in. The two members knocked up straight into the Chaos Storm. Here's the Aatrox as well. It might be Booyah Exiles finally catching out a couple of people. They get themselves the set, but bot lane is going to be completely destroyed because Mid-Monkey is freely pushing. Nutty Bar is going to go ahead and try to get some damage down to the mid lane. Inhibitor turret, but it's going to be stopped because Rizzo in that top lane goes golden, trying to survive for the redemption to come through. Not going to be in time. He's just trying to distract while the rest of the team is collapsing, looking for Mid-Monkey and Nutty Bars. They've got the Chilling Smite onto the Kaisa, trying to take her down. She's forced to flash over the wall. There's no ability to chase, though, from Booyah Exiles, and they just have to back away. Slashdiv is still alive, playing around in circles, running away from this Kled and the Nautilus. Good dashes, but the follow from Shaden. He's going to be able to get through the wall as well, and Slashdiv does a good job of splitting up Akuma Glaive's members.
Yeah, just, you know, a big commitment of resources there when Korin almost gets cut out. I mean, if Shaden had just channeled his ulti or targeted his ulti a little bit further down the lane, probably could have landed on Corrin and destroyed him before the teleport came through, but unfortunately that is not the case. The teleport does come through, but that is a big commitment of resources to the top side for Booyah Exiles, enabling Mid-Monkey to get that bot side inhibitor down and Nutty Bars to push out that mid lane and get a lot of damage on that inhib tower. So with Elder spawning very, very soon, and that inhib, being a constant source of just pain right now for Booyah, a constant pressure point that they're gonna have to deal with. This Elder is going to decide the game. That there's no doubt about that. Every single Elder always does. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Booyah are planning on getting into this fight. I mean, it's not like they don't have tools. If Corrin can get onto Nutty Bars and like, drop a Chaos Storm and get a lot of CC onto her, then they can win this fight.
Quick question before we get into the fight, though. Do we see a fourth steal? We've seen 3 steals so far tonight. Do we get a 4th steal, an Elder Drake steal? J-Crease is actually going to immediately start this up. That is absolutely crazy. You are not the team that has the lead. Echo split pushing in the mid lane. Sigi was thinking about recalling. The Elder Drake is being burned down. Triarch around the corner. Kled TPing in to try to push in the mid lane as well. This is a desperation move from Akuma Glaive. They're stuck between rock and a hard place. The recalls are trying to come through, but the Nautilus throwing out that ultimate is going to cancel a few of them, and Triarch, all he has to do is lock people down into a 4-man wombo combo. The Nexus turrets are falling as the fight will continue to go the way of Akuma Glaive. The Nexus explodes, and in one last move, Akuma Glaive will take game 3 and take the series.
For 2 team fighting compositions, Mid-Monkey was like, no, I'm not team fighting. I'm split pushing all game. I'm going bot, I'm going mid, I'm going to backdoor you for the win. Even Shaden gets in on the action at the very end with the teleport, and the 2 of them are able to just backdoor the game down. So while they're all fighting at Elder Drake, just a classic backdoor comes on through, giving the win over to Akuma Glaive. Well played by them. I mean, Mid-Monkey was just in the right place at the right time consistently. And even though Corrin didn't die a single time that game, had amazing CS, was such a pressure point, unfortunately, the team was just not coordinated enough to make the best use out of him. So it's back to the drawing board for Booyah Exiles, but Akuma Glaives can rest on their laurels, at least for tonight, because they take the win 2-1 over Booyah.
Yeah, I want to double check that our analyst desk is ready to go, but before we jump to them just yet, Corrin the Cat 5-0-3. Excellent play on this Victor. It was looking really, really good. And you can, what you're talking about with Mid-Monkey saying, hey, look, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to go to other lanes, is exactly why this Victor is 5-0. Almost no one was pressuring him in a straight 1v1 type of scenario. The junglers were not coming in trying to end and kill him. I think Triarch showed up one time there in that mid lane in the early game, and that was it. But because Mid-Monkey wasn't there, yeah, Corrin gets a lot of farm. Yeah, Corrin gets ahead. And Akuma Glaive is like, okay, we're just not going to fight you. We're going to take all of the other objectives around the map. We're going to take all these turrets. Yeah. So we are going to throw it to our analyst desk to close it out for tonight. Diatropa as well as Rudude, welcome back. Thank you so much for filling in tonight. What are your thoughts on this final game 3 between Booyah Exiles and Akuma Glaive?
Hey, thank you so much for having us. I'm Diatropa, joined by Rudude, and yeah, that was a crazy long game that I was really excited to see the end of. Just really good play coming out from both teams, and I think that it kind of came down to just a macro error call from Booyah Exiles to try and close out that game. But Rudude, did you see some telltale signs earlier that they might be tilting towards that?
Yeah, so there were a couple of occasions where they were sort of a little bit undecided on what they wanted to do during the game, and ultimately it came down to that final call where they decided that they needed to force a play, and it all stemmed from the fact that Mid-Monkey was able to get that bot lane inhibitor about 2 or 3 minutes before the Elder Drake had spawned, and the pressure that that mid lane inhibitor had garnered for these guys meant that they were able to use that pressure bot lane to force minions in that way. They then had Mid-Monkey split pushing, if you can call split pushing in mid lane split pushing, or split pushing down mid lane as well. Then, with the TP coming through from Shaden as well, the lack of execution from Jay Crazy and the rest of these guys was just what caused them to ultimately fall. And it came from as well the fact that Triarch stole away the Baron as well, which really swung the game away from these guys, and it kind of felt like once that Baron had gone, that it was always going to be a difficult game, and them taking the time to try and take the Elder Drake without the full committal to it that they needed to do, just really felt kind of like that was when the game became unwinnable for them at that point.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure being thrown back and forth. Jay Crazy did look really good on some of those Sejuani ganks, but overall, like, a lot of overforcing almost. And I think it came from knowing that they were so strong, but just not being able to find the right fights and always being almost dictated to. And you almost forget that the Nexus exists as the actual win condition despite all the others.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Jay Crazy was wonderful in the early game, got his laners off to a really great start. Ganks top lane, Ganks bot lane. I think he got mid monkey, didn't actually find anything mid, but was all over the map asserting all sorts of pressure. But something else that we really kind of have to touch on is unfortunately, the lack of damage that did come through here. Victor was the only real member that was able to pump out consistent DPS. And when you're looking at excuse me. When you're looking at this Booyah side, you look at the team comps and you think Angry top laner in the mid game stage, he was doing really well and was pulling out to start dealing the damage that he needed to end up carrying the team. But then he started getting locked down by Nautilus CC, by Kled CC, and etc. Started getting bursted and was just really ineffective in these team fights. Much like Siggy as well. Siggy had a really tough time trying to get anywhere near their team fights because of the amount of dive that came through. As soon as he got anywhere near their team fight, he was getting jumped on by literally all 5 members from these guys had dive potential. Akuma really were so skilled and so able to jump onto the Ezreal. Even Ezreal couldn't stay safe during that game, and when he had to rush these weird defensive items, he ended up going Iceborne Gauntlet, Death Stance. This isn't your Trinity Force Bulk build, which gives you a lot of consistent DPS. His Qs aren't dealing the same damage, even with Muramana. Siggy just really struggling, and it did all come down to Corrin in the end, and unfortunately the Victor just wasn't enough to get them the win, and like I say earlier, slightly macro misplay kind of cost them the game.
Yeah, it was a really interesting game all the way through, though. Game 3 was balanced on a nice edge the whole time. We did have a whole series today that we didn't get to stream at all. As much as I wish we could have watched all of Booyah Exiles, we also had TPG Flare and Glacial Tempest. TPG ended up walking away with the win in that one, and I am so excited to see them play in the future. We've had an amazing few games. I'm going to throw it back to Jake to let him close us out, but thank you everyone so much for joining. Back to you, Jake.
Yep. It's been an incredible night for our Week 1 start to the XLNC Heavy League. There are 7 weeks of packed action just like this ahead. If you've enjoyed the stream so far, definitely feel free to hit that follow. We are 6 followers away from crushing that 1,900 follower mark. And yes, it does mean a lot to XLNC when we have those followers. It means the world. And if you really love the content, we do have a huge variety of ways that you can support XLNC to help us grow. We do host a lot of free events on Mondays and Tuesdays. We pay our casters to be able to continue to grow the amateur scene as a whole. We've got dozens of programs that we're working on to support the amateur scene for Amateur League of Legends, as well as esports as a whole. We are just constantly growing and working, and that is not free. So we appreciate those that can afford to support. We are trying to currently grow our Patreon page. If you are interested in that, we get way more support from Patreon than with Twitch, but we understand if you cannot support financially, that is absolutely fine. We are not here to guilt anyone. We just appreciate anything that you can support. I'm Lex123. Thank you so much for the follow. There's been dozens of followers tonight. I can't list you all, unfortunately, right at this moment, but you guys have been incredible. We love you. We're looking forward to seeing these teams come back and just smash next week as well. We broke 100 live viewers. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you all so much. We love you. And no, unfortunately, Toothbrushes, we are not going to be finding some real viewers because we are growing naturally just like we do every single week. We'll see you all next time the stream goes live. If you hit the notification bell, you'll know when it is when we go live, and you can come back for some high action packed League of Legends. We'll see you all next time. Have a great one. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.